Hey, welcome back to the Geeks Out Podcast. It's been a hot minute, but also I was away on my honeymoon. I needed time for me and to see the world and to get my much delayed honeymoon on. But the wait has been well worth it because we have a very special guest, someone who those who've been to FlameCon know and love. We have the cosplay queen of New York City, and I would say the lip sync assassin. We have from RuPaul's Drag Race season 16, Megami.
Hi, everybody. It's so lovely. Thank you for having me once again. Working with Geeks Out. I've one of the few organizations who've been with me since the beginning. So anytime I can work with Geeks Out, it's I'm there. Let me do it.
We love to see our talented friends get the flowers they
Oh
oh
wow,
so
that's
deserve.
triggering.
And
I know. It's every time someone is like, "Oh my God, you're getting your flowers." I'm like, "Wow, that's you're bringing back bad memories."
well, we have nothing but good memories of you, Megami. We're gonna chat a little bit about Drag Race, where you are right now, what the future holds. Also, we are going to talk about X-Men '97, of course, because we haven't had the time to be able to discuss that since I've been
Absolutely.
gone. Uh, Also, the trailer for Wicked, Paper Mario, Beetlejuice, so much more. All these stories and more in this week's episode of the Geeks Out Podcast.
Fab.
Um, Megami, it is so wonderful to see you and chat with you. But it's um, there are people who've been involved with FlameCon um, from an early period of FlameCon, and to see like their stars just grow and get bigger and bigger. It makes me, and I know it makes others with Geeks Out and FlameCon, so very proud and so very happy. Yeah, I just wanted to gush at your
Oh,
face.
it sounds like a typical Friday night at Rock Bar, but thank you.
Right, right. um, how has it been for
It's
you?
been, insane. Like, there's nothing. I've tried out for Drag Race for years, and you always think, or I always thought in my head, like, I'm ready for it, and then the reality of filming and then becoming just someone who's known all around the world. It's like nothing can prepare you for it, so you kind of have to roll with the punches, and it does make me really glad that I grew up in New York, because it's just I'm just used to things being fast paced. So it's been a crazy couple of months in my life, but uh it's a dream come true. So I'm happy I'm here, and I'm happy that I get to still work with Geeks Out. Like you said, I think I went to the second Flame Con that y'all ever did. Like it's just this year is the 10th anniversary. So 9 years ago. And I've gone every single year since then, and as a queer geek myself, I love that I get to go on a huge platform and represent for those of us who don't get to maybe see the things that we love on a stage like that. So yeah, it's meant a lot to me too. It's been a crazy year so far.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, just like knowing knowing your origin story and having seen the beginnings of Megami to become the queen goddess that the world has been introduced to. It's been wonderful. Um, especially being able to see your how your mind works in terms of like uh, your drag, but also like the numbers that you produce in terms of like the shows, the live shows, live drag shows that you produce, um, has been amazing. Like, how has it been traveling the country and also being an international queen now? How has that been for you? How has that been? How do you feel like you've been
Um,
received?
I mean, especially since the end of the season when, I got to come back and show people some like good old fashioned New York drag, some like, geeky stupidity. Um, it's been amazing. Like I've always been just like a very extroverted kind of person. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love connecting with people, especially over geek things. Like, hey, let's like talk about video games and comic books and everything. Um, so getting to travel the world and, just even if it's just like for 60 seconds in a meet and greet or something, just to like get to talk to people about like, why do you love, this X-Men, or why do you, what's your favorite Star Wars movie or something like that. It's like, those are the kinds of things that I absolutely have always loved in my life, and now I get to do that all across the country with fans everywhere. So it's been fabulous, and I hope I get to keep doing it for a very long time.
What what is something like, is there a dream that you would like to speak into being, that you would like to do with your platform, or where you would like to go?
Let me see. If anyone out there from Dimension 20 is listening, I want to be on the next season of Dungeons and Drag Queens because, get this, I'm an actual drag queen who knows how to play Dungeons and Dragons, and not like the last season where none of them knew how to play Dungeons and Dragons. So like that is one of my like goals. I'm manifesting into the universe. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, I like personally, I would love to. For those who have not seen it, it exists online. We've posted it. You've posted it as well. Um, One of the times that you were our headlining performer for our Fireball, the FlameCon after party, you did a full series recap of Avatar: The Last
Yes.
Airbender. Um, that brought the house down. That was just so amazing. Like, personally, I would love to see um, more of that sort of dragon fan, like, meets fandom, and I know you do it already in some of the shows that you have been performing uh, before and since Drag Race. So like, just to see that at like, one, I mean, we already have it at FlameCon, but like at New York Comic Con, at San Diego Comic Con, like, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to, be as available as I can to those. I FlameCon will always be like one of the first places in my heart, just because as a queer person, like having a space where we are specifically catered to is important, and is like it means a lot to a lot of people. But I'm like, I also would love to in a larger capacity work with New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, and go to these larger conventions, because my drag literally started at New York Comic Con, like just thinking like, hey, I want to cosplay, and all my favorite characters are the girl characters, so like I don't want to dress up as like Cyclops. I want to be Jean Grey. So yeah, hopefully that's something in the future I can figure out what, and what that looks like. But I'm working toward it. I'm trying.
That's awesome. And and Geeks Out, we that is part of our mission, is helping to raise visibility at other conventions besides FlameCon, like New York Comic Con, and I know that you are going to be at RuPaul's Drag
Yes.
Con this summer as well. So you'll be able to get some of that West Coast
Yeah, no,
love
I'm
and love
no,
from all
I'm
the drag
definitely
queens, the
super
Drag Race fans.
excited for DragCon. I'm like, I get to, now the reins are off. We're off the leash. We can do whatever we want, and I am definitely planning a couple of big cosplay moments for that, just to like do a couple of looks that people have been asking me to do forever. And I'm like, you know what? If this is the moment where all eyes are on me, I want to do something big and crazy. So you'll just have to stay tuned and follow me at Megami NYC everywhere to see all the pictures of what crazy cosplay that I bring out.
Love it. And people can just get, if they haven't already, get their tickets for DragCon and be able to see it live and in person. Or barring that, you can see Megami as not only a special guest at this year's FlameCon happening August 17th and 18th, but Megami is going to be our host and main event at the Fireball FlameCon's after party happening Saturday, August 17th at Industry Bar in New York City. Let's go ahead and dive into some big
Yeah,
openings. Shall we?
absolutely.
It's just a regular Friday night at
Truly.
a rock bar, right? Yeah. So for my big opening, I came back. I've been catching up on comics since I was away. I immediately have been catching up on everything that's happening with X-Men, but especially I picked up the two Pride comics from X-Men and DC. X-Men featuring their Pride, their Marvel Voices Pride comic features the renewing of the vows of Mystique and Destiny, with some little side quest stories of everything sort of leading up to that, which is fun and cute. And, it's nice to have another sort of queer wedding that's being celebrated. Because I think this would be the third queer wedding from Marvel. We had North Star's wedding, and then we had Hulkling and Wiccan both got married.
I mean, I would
So
it's like
it's
Jean and Scott getting married as a queer wedding because she is a gay icon. So like, that was for us. That was for, the girls.
this true. That's true,
It
and
may not have
also
been a queer partnership,
uh,
but it was a queer wedding.
yes, yes, and I think I don't think it's been exactly fully text, but I would say that Scott Summers might be a bicon,
I mean, at,
maybe.
at this point, I was gonna say something very nasty, but well, we'll save that for the podcast Geeks Out After Dark. Well, I'll tell you at FlameCon.
Yes,
But yes,
yes.
no, Scott has gone on her redemption arc, and she's come around, and I think that's like the thing I love so much about X-Men and why I have like literally three X-Men tattoos. It's like it is so like easy as a queer person to see myself in so many of these characters. And if you're a person out there, I mean, I don't know why you would be watching this if you're like against queer people and or like queer media, but like if you're reading X-Men and you think there's no like as the haters would say, like agenda, it's like, maybe you're not reading this properly. Like these are all like queer people of color, people with disabilities, and like it's literally it's for everyone else who's not the main characters in the rest of society. And so anytime X-Men does anything like overtly queer, related, it's like it's a win for us because the X-Men, that's for the family. That's for all of us.
Yeah, and it makes sense that that's the focus of the Marvel Voices Pride, because the X-Men is the queerest title, the queerest series of titles from Marvel. So that just it makes sense, and it seems
Absolutely.
right. So and also I picked up the DC Pride 2024 anthology with the gorgeous cover from Kevin Wada. And this, instead of it being like an overarching story, it's an anthology, so it's several stories that are all queer, featuring queer characters, written and with creative teams that are all queer, um, introducing some lesser known characters, featuring some more iconic characters. And the one thing, there's some great stories, but the one thing that I really appreciated in this, was there's a story from Phil Jimenez, um, called Spaces, and it's a very sort of autobiographical story, about him being a queer youth and um, finding escape in comics and finding sort of like queer identity in comics, and sort of his journey as becoming an artist at DC. And his first love was Wonder Woman, um, and the Linda Carter series, and then falling in love with comics and drawing Wonder Woman, and finding this community in comics. And it's a really touching and heartfelt story. And like knowing Phil and knowing one, his love for Wonder Woman, but also just like, he is a pioneer in the comics industry as being sort of one of the early out queer professionals in comics, and just like the um, he's a trailblazer in terms of being that representation in the comics industry, and always sort of speaking out and trying to have, there's like a queer sensibility within his work, and it's very appreciated, from myself and other queer fans of DC Comics as well. So if you haven't, I do highly recommend picking it up. It's a great read. There's a lot of great art in it, and there's a story of Jonathan Kent, Superman, the son of Superman, and his boyfriend going on a double date, kind of, or date night with, two other queer male characters, from DC Comics. That's just stupid fun. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will definitely have to pick that one up. I'm not, I will admit I am more of a Marvel girly just because it's funny you say like that he grew up like drawing Wonder Woman, and that was like a very similar experience for me. Like my day job for years was as an illustrator and graphic designer, making fashion merchandising, and like I got my start like literally drawing like Jean Grey and Storm and a bunch of X-Men. Like those were my characters growing up. That was like I get my power from them. So like it's always nice to hear that like other people have had similar experiences, and like these characters from all across comics, whether it's DC or Marvel or whatever, like they mean things to a lot of people. So yeah, go support queer art, and like I said on TV, protect it.
Truly, an iconic moment, that will live on
Well,
forever.
I
So,
hope so.
uh, let's get, since we're, what's your big opening, Madonna?
My big opening is that the speaking of X-Men, which we just haven't shut up about, like the finale of X-Men '97 just happened like I mean, at this point, it's like 2 weeks ago. But I'm like still reeling from like how absolutely amazing the show ended up being, despite how many like naysayers were out there. And I think in large part that has to do with having a creative team and a cast who were absolutely passionate about this series. and and I think that like speaks to a lot of geeky media of like the best works come from people who are passionate about these things. And I think X-Men 97 is truly proof of that, like, there was a creative team who were, queer people. The head writer Bo DeMeo, like he, a queer man, like he wrote this from his heart. And there were so many moments throughout the season where like you can see like, oh, this was, if you know what you're looking for, like, oh, these characters are telling like, coming out stories and like queer specific stories, but that like maybe gone over some people's heads. But like the series as a whole was absolutely fantastic. And I'm like, I hope they don't mess it up in season two, because you know can't always trust Disney and Marvel to learn the right lessons from their successes.
That is
Yeah.
a sad but true statement. Yeah, no, I found myself like I was staying up late so that I could watch it at like 3 a.m. to one
Yeah.
avoid spoilers, um, but also just because I wanted to see it as soon as it came out. Um, and then I watched it again with my husband, pretending to have never seen the episode in the first place. Um, uh, but yeah, there was so many great one like just fan serving moments, like one in terms of like referencing the original series, but also like storylines from the comics, and talking about sort of like the queer allegories of the um, where what happened on Genosha, the conversation with Charles Xavier and Magneto, uh, sort of like the flashback to when they first met, and this moment in time where we didn't have the community that we have now in terms of like queer community, and in the comics, in terms of like the community that exists for mutants, where everything was sort of coded and like wink wink nudge nudge, and like um where you sort of knew that there was like the cruising element to it, where like, oh, we both know we're both queer, but we're just sort of like navigating these waters of like, if I support mutants, and if you happen to be a
Yeah, it's
mutant
you know,
too,
if you're a friend of Charles Xavier, as they would say, or like friend of Dorothy.
a friend of
Exactly.
Dazzler.
The coded language and all of that.
Yeah. So yeah, I am equally hopeful. I am cautiously optimistic about the second season, and that it will continue this greatness of this first season of X-Men
Yeah.
97.
And
So
it's like it's nice to see certain characters back on TV. The Marvel and the MCU have kind of uh left X-Men to the wayside for a while. And it's so like gratifying as like an X-Men fan that like this has been the biggest thing for them in several years since like Infinity War ended. And like I'm cautiously optimistic that like maybe X-Men will get a lot more love from Marvel now, uh, as it deserves because it's the best one.
Well, I mean, Variety has already, said that. Was it Lenore? Is that what her name is? Crap. The voice of Rogue. That she is, that they're predicting Emmy love for her vocal acting.
Well, I hope so.
Voice acting.
They truly
Uh,
deserve it. And there's like it's crazy because I'm like like several points watching this series, I'm like literally like bawling my eyes out for things that are happening. I'm like, why? What is happening? What like this is not this is supposed to be a fun thing, and now I'm like feeling all the emotions. So like truly well deserved from like the vocal acting standpoint. The animation was absolutely stunning in it. Like the fight scenes are like some of the best animation we've seen in a long time, and just the writing in general. So like I hope they do get recognized. 'Cause, animation is often not held to the same regard as a lot of other media. So hopefully they can like break the
yeah.
stigma on that.
Agreed. And we had both queer subtext and queer text. We had, there were queer characters that we saw in Genosha. We have Morph, who is acknowledged as a non-binary character, voiced by a queer actor who will be at FlameCon as well. JP will be there as a special guest along with Megami. So yeah, I just hope we have more representation. You know,
Yeah, and it's so funny because I'm like you
yeah,
mentioned like the voice actors for Rogue and Morph, and I just met them. I was in LA like a week and a half ago, and we're doing an X-Men for the finale of X-Men '97, and we're doing an X-Men
yeah,
party where all the queens came as different X-Men. And they were both there. Bo DeMeo was there, and like it was just so nice to like get to talk to them and meet them and tell them like not even as like a drag race person, but just as a X-Men fan, be like this was it meant a lot. And I'm glad that you know uh queer people, that women, that like all these fans who love these characters got to put it back into the universe. So yeah, hopefully season 2 keeps the ball rolling.
well, while we're getting down nerdy, let's continue to get down and nerdy. And talk about what we're consuming in pop culture
Sure.
right now. Um, before I left on my honeymoon, I got to watch the movie Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I had low expectations on. It was a very
Okay.
entertaining film. It is the beginning of a new trilogy of movies, and you can sort of see. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone. You can sort of see where they're trying to tie into everything. Sort of complete sort of the circle of all of these Planet of the Apes movies and properties. So it was very very entertaining, and it also talks about um, uh, sort of xenophobia in a sense as well, and the sort of fear of others, and um, it's a universal concept as well. I first saw the first half of the new season of Bridgerton, which is soapy and more shirtless British men in period
As we all
costume.
deserve. We've
Um,
had a hard couple of years. Let us just have this win.
right,
Yeah.
right. uh, so we all got to live out our Lady Whistledown fantasies watching it. And then I've been watching a couple of shows on Apple TV Plus. One I think just started called Dark
Okay.
Matter, which is like it is an alternate reality kind of series where this scientist and professor uh, gets kidnapped and wakes up in an alternate reality. And he's been, spoiler, not really a spoiler, uh, kidnapped by his alternate person, the person from that reality. And he is now like living his life in his reality. And it also it stars Jennifer Connelly as his wife. It's really sort of it's really interesting. The special effects are really cool. Depictions of alternate realities
Is
is really
that
cool.
like on is
So
that on Netflix?
it's on Apple
Okay.
TV Plus.
So like it has
Yeah,
a reasonably good chance of getting like a season 2.
yeah, fairly
Yeah.
reasonable good chance. Yeah, well, a lot of their shows get picked up for more than one
Yeah,
season.
which is kind of like one of those things that like anytime someone like brings up like a Netflix show and I'm like, I have been burnt too many times by Netflix of like they have these really cool concept shows and then they're like, we're just gonna cancel it after season 1 so you never get any resolution. So it's like but that's a whole other issue with Netflix. But like, good thing that it's on Apple, so like
It's true.
may have to check it out.
Yeah. Also on Apple is a new series that the finale just aired maybe like a season or two ago. Not a season, a week or two ago. Was a show called Sugar, starring Colin Farrell as sort of like this hard-boiled private eye in LA. Um, it has Amy Ryan and uh, um, what's his name? James Cromwell, I think is his name. I think I'm remembering that correctly. It is like if you like a good mystery, it is very good. I don't want to spoil anything because there are some really big twists in it, and it has sort of divided people
Okay.
on it. Um, yeah, it there. Yeah, there's definitely some things that just come out of the blue, and you're like, "What
So
the
what you're saying
fuck
is,
did
if
I
you love
just
being
see?"
angry, you should watch Sugar. Because no matter what,
Well, the thing is, like,
it's gonna piss somebody off. So, uh,
that's true, true. I wasn't pissed off about it. I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe, and then like to have that like confirmed, I was like, that was like such a like uh uh I did not think it was a possibility that they were gonna go down that road, and the fact that they did was such a mind
mm.
fuck. Uh, yeah. So if you get a chance to see it, I do recommend watching it. You do. I think there's at least one or two shirtless scenes with Colin Farrell.
I
So
really appreciate that Hollywood has been doing it for the girls and the gays in the past several years. It's like that's a win for us. Yeah.
right, right, exactly. Well, what are you? I know you're super busy, but like, what are you getting down in your week?
So for me, I've been like rapidly consuming X-Men 97 every chance that I could get over the past several months. Let me see what else. Oh, I just recently, because I didn't see it in theaters, had a little medicinal elevation and watched Madam Web, and uh it was actually a very fun experience. Obviously, an awful, awful movie, But
So
but you know what?
sad.
I think having the help of Mother Nature in the form of ripping a fat blunt like definitely helps the movie along. Because all of a sudden all the crazy choices that they made in the filmmaking just kind of makes sense. You just let it wash over you and you have a good time. Um, and I've definitely gotten back to because I've been traveling a lot, and it's funny because like Apple finally allowed it in the iOS Apple store for the App Store, handheld like emulation for like older system games. So definitely been playing a bunch of like old Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS games. I've always been like super nerdy about like emulators and like proprietary consoles and stuff like that. I literally have a whole collection of just like these weird like Chinese import emulators that like will play whatever crappy file you find on the internet. But like that is something that I've gotten back into now that like it's just on my phone. So like that's been a lot of fun to go back and get into games that I maybe haven't tried or haven't played in a long time. Um, that's the crazy thing. I'm like I so I have my Switch, my Steam Deck, and my PS5, and one on top of like PS5, you'll get like free games every month. But then like I always say like my favorite game on Nintendo Switch is the Nintendo eShop because I love to just add everything to my favorites list and then wait for it to be like $3 to $5. um, so now I just have a massive back catalog of video games that I haven't played, but I'm like, you know what? Let me play this Game Boy Advance game from 2004 instead of playing any of the new stuff. But yeah, like if you have your iPhone and you know how to finagle around the internet, you can play your old games on your iPhone now. So
You can make your old school
truly,
dreams come
just
true.
have and I think that's just like me being a kid who like didn't have like a lot of games growing up and like would just have to play like the same thing over and over again was like now that I'm an adult and I can use the internet to have every game, I'm gonna have every game always available to me always. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
get into emulation. It's like it's the way of the future. We're bringing back torrenting. These streaming services have screwed us over too much. Start stealing stuff again. And this is not a Geeks Out is not affiliated with this message. So
We'll have
yeah.
the legal disclaimer at the bottom. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about more about video game news in a second. But let's get into our strong female character. So we got it's the newish trailer for the movie adaptation of the musical
Yes.
Wicked, um, and talk about strong female characters. Like,
Oh, the strongest. And I'm like, as a I'll use the nice term, a theater homosexual. I've been waiting for this movie for at this point like 2 decades since this musical has come out, and I've been known to be somewhat of an emotional woman, so like just watching like this trailer, I was like, I'm gonna be sobbing in this movie theater. I guarantee it. Even like even if it's awful, which I don't think it's going to be awful. The director, I forgot what the hell his name is. He
he was the same director as Crazy X, or not Crazy Rich
Yes,
Asians.
and he also directed the movie adaptation of In the Heights. which is another one of my like favorite
Right.
musicals, and like I appreciate.
With
Yes.
John Chu.
Um, I was like, I appreciate that this is a director who understands musicals as like this kind of heightened uh spectacle of reality. Because I hate crap like Les Mis and Cats, fuck whatever Todd Hooper or whatever his name is, who are like, you're trying to make this gritty, realistic like portrayal of like people just randomly singing. Like that's not how musicals. We understand that it's a musical. Like lean into the camp and the craziness and the colorfulness and like so like I think In the Heights deserves a reappraisal from people, and I'm glad that he's doing Wicked because like I appreciate his directing style. So I'm optimistic. I think Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are both fantastic singers. Cynthia Erivo is one of the best theater actresses working in the industry today. So I'm like, she is more than capable of filling these shoes.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did you see Bad Times at the El Royale?
I have not.
Oh my god. You have to see this movie. One, it features Chris Hemsworth in a heel turn. Like he's sort of like the villain of this. Um, but it has uh, Jeff Bridges, John Hamm, Dakota Johnson is in it. Um, Nick Offerman is in it. Um, it, but also has Cynthia Erivo, and she
Hmm.
sings in it. She is like a Vegas backup dancer, backup vocalist who is trying to get her own like record deal. And so you see her like she's just rehearsing and singing in her hotel room, and it is so good. And like you're watching and it's like she is going to go places. So it's great that to see her is going. She's going to blow the fucking roof off in
Oh no,
Wicked.
absolutely. I
So
mean, I know her more like in her theater work and like The Color Purple, and she did a live performance of The Last 5 Years. It was like a charity performance. And I'm like one of the best voices. So like I am not worried about the music because I mean even Ariana Grande, who like was getting a lot of shit for being cast as Glinda, watching her in the trailer, I'm like I I feel like she gets it. She understands this character. This is like her dream role. And like she has the vocal ability to do it. So I'm like I'm glad it's not a situation where we're casting Russell Crowe to sing a musical. I hate Les Mis the movie. I'm gonna always take every opportunity to
I'm
talk shit about that
getting that.
piece
Yeah,
of shit. And also Cats. What's his name? Tom Hooper is just
James.
whatever his
Uh,
name was. I'm glad that he's not directing musicals anymore. Um, because I'm like you know
how do you know, Phil?
and I guess it kind of like it's something that happened in like the Mean Girls musical also, where it's like you're casting. There were several people who were very well cast, and then there was the main character who was just not vocally prepared for the role, and so I'm like I'm glad that maybe we're swinging back towards a like let's cast theater people instead of just actors who happen to be singing when 90% of their vocals are coming from like the computer. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very excited. I'm gonna be there, day one midnight release. I already told my siblings I'm gonna paint myself green and show up to this movie theater. It's gonna be something.
Love it. Love it. Well, let's move on to This Week in Queer. So Nintendo had announced that they were doing like a remake of their game Paper Mario, specifically Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. It was a game that came out in 2004, and in this remake, they are reviving a character from that trans identity. So it was a character named Vivian, and she explicitly discusses her gender identity in dialogue with Mario, stating that after she realized that she was a girl and not a boy, her evil siblings started to bully her. So she, in the Japanese version, she was derisively referred to by male pronouns as an insult multiple times, but that was cut in the English localization where she was just insulted for her appearance. So they are now making her trans identity explicit in this. And I mean, she's not the first trans character from Nintendo. We have the problematic trans icon that is Birdo from Super Mario
Yes, I
2.
was I was just gonna say too, the one of our queer icons, Miss Birdo, who hasn't wanted to throw eggs at an Italian man. So I'm like, she's really doing it for the girls. She will always be an icon.
Yes, yes. But I mean, this is great, in terms of like of these big gaming studios acknowledging that queer representation is important. Um, we've seen it a lot more. I mean, and they see that we've seen that it can be done very well, and it can be for very popular platforms. Like, we see it in like The Last
Yeah.
of Us, um, with the main character is a queer character. So
Um,
yeah, I know you're more of a gamer than I
yeah,
am,
I mean,
but
I think any positive representation is a win for the community, especially the trans community, which, like, as little representation as, like, gay and lesbian characters have, trans characters have even less representation. So, like, any positive representation is good. And I think as a whole, these little things kind of all add up. Because I think as queer people who work with the community, we're kind of spoiled for uh, having access to other queer people, and I feel like a lot of the world maybe don't know other gay people, other don't know any trans people. So it's really through representation in media, like video games and movies and TV, that they learn about our experiences and stories. So, like, anytime that can be included, that's like, it only helps normalize and uh, gets people to understand all of us a little more. So, good job, Nintendo. Like, keep doing that. Do more of that.
yes, 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 please. Our clip of the week is we got a new trailer for the movie Beetlejuice, which quite obviously is a sequel to the movie
Oh, you said it three
Beetlejuice.
times.
Um, oh shit. um, so this takes place 40 years after the events of the original movie, where Lydia, played by Winona Ryder, returns home after the death of her father, who the original actor they could not cast because problematic reasons. And he is no longer working in Hollywood. So this is a good way around that. And her rebellious daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, summons Beetlejuice once again to play havoc in their lives. So we've got Michael Keaton back as Beetlejuice, Winona Ryder as Lydia, Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara in this movie. And then we have Jenna Ortega, and then Justin Theroux is also.
Yeah, just I mean, Catherine O'Hara in life is just that's all we need. We are blessed that we got to live in this multiverse, in the universe that has her. So yeah, that's a win for us.
It is. I mean, seriously, like this movie was always such a camp classic, and the fact that we are getting a sequel to it is giving me life.
Yeah,
So,
or giving you death, depending on how you look at it.
give,
But yeah, no, I'm super excited. I always loved Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice was like doing Lydia in her red wedding dress was like one of the first performances I ever did as a young queen back in the ancient times. Um, so like I Beetlejuice is something that's like so near and dear to my heart as like one of the like hot topic emo kids from the early 2000s. Like this I feel like this is for me specifically. I'm like I needed more and you're giving me more. And you have Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. I'm like, that's all I needed. And Jenna Ortega is fabulous too. She's taken up the mantle for all the spooky weirdo girls out there, and I applaud her for that because we need that.
yeah, I like this checks all the boxes for me. I will definitely be there. This comes out in September. I will be seeing it opening weekend, if not
Oh,
opening night.
absolutely.
So, um, yeah. Well, let's wrap things up with our shelf of the week as the superhero that you would like to fuck, friend, or feature. Megami, do you have a special shelf
Oh
in
my
your
God.
life?
You know what? Well, I'll bring it back to X-Men 97 and say that my shelf is probably Morph. I love that they can just be anything that I need them to be. If I'm feeling like I want to cuddle up with Wolverine, then I can do that. So like I love a person who's gonna change themselves for me. I need to be the star. And also speaking on that, I am full steam ahead on the Morphin Wolverine shipping fandom right now. Like that is Wolverine needs to get out of Jean Grey's fucking head and like start focusing on Morph because they're the ones who are there for Wolverine.
Yes, agreed. I was gonna say either Wolverine or Gambit, but now like Morph is able to like fulfill a lot of like as a bisexual, like Morph can be anything and everything that uh that I would like, so like I could have my own devil's triangle, as it were.
Yeah,
So
like just like it's always a surprise, Just turn off the lights and be like, "Oh, what are you going to turn into next?" Like that's a lot of fun. You can role play.
yeah.
This extreme role playing.
But yes, I will say that Wolverine shower scene in X-Men 97 did do something for me. So but we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that. Um, So one, thank you for joining us today. It's been a delight chatting with you. Um, this is where one. What do you have coming up next? What are some of the shows that you have, and where can people find you?
So well, first of all, you can follow me literally everywhere at Megami NYC. You know, go follow me on Twitch. I'm gonna be Twitch streaming regularly coming up now. At Megami NYC, like my Instagram, Twitter, it's all, you know, I was very smart. I got everything with the same handle. So like I'm everywhere at Megami NYC. You can also find me coming up. Let me look at my calendar. Oh, on the June 27th, I'm going to be at Liberty Science Center in New Jersey for their Pride extravaganza. The theme is dinosaurs, so it's like a dinosaur pride. And it's Liberty Science Center at night, so they actually do serve alcohol, and it's an adult only show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. On Friday, June 28th, I'm going to be doing a live recording of Dungeons and Drag Queens, not the Dimension 21. It's a more like local queen centric Dungeons and Drag Queens live one shot campaign. Some more details about that. And then uh let me see. On the 29th, I'll be doing the Urban Bear Bears Ahoy cruise around New York City. So if you ever wanted to get drunk on a boat with a bunch of bears, like this is your opportunity to live your fantasy. Because who doesn't love a boat full of seamen? So truly, come live out your fantasy.
Uh, Live out your fantasy and
Truly.
swab the deck. Uh, awesome. Well, you can find me on the socials at Gilligan_McJew. You can find Geeks Out and FlameCon at Geeks Out and at FlameCon on all the social medias. Uh, you can find tickets and more information about FlameCon www.flamecon.org. FlameCon again is August 17th and 18th at the Times Square Sheraton, just actually slightly north of Times Square. And you can find Megami there, and also at our after party, the Fireball, which is August 17th, starting at 8 p.m. at Industry Bar in New York City, just down the block from the Sheraton Times Square. So very easy to get to from
Yeah, come to the
FlameCon.
after party, everyone.
Um,
It's like it's always a lot of fun, and this year I think I'm gonna be doing something from Metal Gear Solid. So like you'll just have to show up and see what I do.
Color me
Mm.
intrigued.
You know, speaking of gay and camp
uh,
series, like there's nothing more gay and camp than Metal Gear Solid.
yeah. Well, again, thank
Thank
you, Megami, for
you.
joining us. Thank you all for tuning in. Uh, Hopefully, we'll get a little more consistency with our episodes going forward. Now that I'm not, prepping for for a honeymoon and everything. Um, but yeah, so until next time, we're
Bye.
out.